of course, he's not here. I'll send.
I've just sent a few photos to him of the grill on the Tiger.
Yeah,
because that's the bit that's the upcoming, really. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good, and that's kind of what I wanted to have a chat with you about. I just want to put a teaser out for the magazine, right? Just so, and also in by way of on YouTube and your YouTube channel specifically, is that this will be coming from your YouTube channel, not Seven Spots. As I said, it all this stuff has to be. Has to be linked back to the original source, which is everyone's original channel, so you can get the subscriptions and so you can get the plays. And being that we're hosting the studio, we can edit it for our own purposes, for our own channel too. So it all works. It's like you said, it's the power of working together.
Yeah. Hi, John.
Yeah.
Evening, you're right.
Doing well. You?
Cold. I've just finished a remnant of a Chinese I had yesterday, so I warmed that up and finished that off. I'm still not right. I'm still like shivering, and my eyes are streaming, and I just don't feel right. You're the same, Jim.
Yeah, very much. My nose is running like crazy, and you're right. My eyes were. I couldn't understand why I was tearing up and crying all the time. I wasn't really crying, but I couldn't get them to stop watering.
I'm the same. And my nose as well. My nose keeps.
Yeah, and I have not had the cough like you guys have had. But then I got to tell you, you wouldn't believe the amount of supplements I take, vitamin C and all that kind of stuff. Just like piles of the stuff.
I take loads of supplements. It's called 20 Benzonated Blue.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I've cooked out for the John Player special. Whatever.
JPS. Those were my dart of choice when I was a smoker. But I'm happy to say, oh God, is it got to be 50 years ago I quit smoking? So I don't huff down darts anymore.
No, I don't smoke in the house. I have to go outside, and obviously I smoke less in winter than I do in summer.
Yeah. And I tell my wife that I have no redeeming vices because I don't drink either. And she says I still think unclean thoughts. She's right.
You weren't going to win that argument, no matter what you tried.
No. Yeah. Back away now. Yeah.
So, guys, thank you very much for having our little planning session. I like these types of things. And I know that you guys have got the Avon rescue thing, and Chris, you've got something coming up on it. And is the weather conducive to the drive down the road, number one, right now? And then secondarily, are you at that point?
And B, will it get down the road, but more importantly, will it get back?
Yeah.
Well, let's do those in order. I'm going to pick my day. I'm not doing it tomorrow. I'm going to pick the day carefully. I've now, as I've told Jim earlier, I've not been in the workshop for a month, which is completely screwed the schedule because I felt
because you have all had. We've all had the same thing in the second country. Yeah.
So that slowed me down.
Was it something I said?
But I'm now cracking away doing the dash wiring, so I'm about 3/4 of the way through now. So at the end of this week, I should be very close to having the thing firing up on the key on the dash, and then we're getting bleed the brakes, and we're not far off. So.
Yeah. Well, I've got nothing but hats off for people who can do wiring and specifically all that stuff behind the dash, because I have seen, mine's not terribly ugly behind the dash, but I was lucky in that I managed to plan it. Right? I did plan to use my bike loom as much as I possibly could. So there's a few splices in there, but generally speaking, it's not hideous. But my hat goes off to people who can rewire and do a nice clean job underneath the dash.
Well, mine, as you know, Jim and Chris, mine was a 2-litre Pinto engine converted to an R1 bike engine. So it's got the old Sierra wiring spliced into the bike wiring.
Yeah.
So I've got two keys. There's obviously the steering lock, which kind of like arms all the ignition system, that kind of thing. But then underneath somewhere, I won't tell you where, I've still got the original bike key, because it's within the bike ECU. So the bike ECU needs to see the bike key because it's got a transponder in it, and if it doesn't, the ECU says, it's obviously been stolen, so I'm not going to fire up. So the wiring of mine, I don't. It works. It works. And I just leave it at that. I'm not an electrician. I'm absolutely useless with electric.
Yeah.
But
well,
I'm not
going to go
any kit car show and start looking underneath bonnets and looking underneath dashboards. It's the Achilles heel of the industry, without a doubt, because the general standard, unless it's come from a mainstream manufacturer, is usually awful.
Yeah, because we're hoping to do a stream with Premier Wiring System.
Yeah.
Mango, because he basically just ring him up, tell him what car you've got, tell him what engine, and he will produce you a bespoke loom for your car. It will fit a 7, it will fit whatever car you want, and it literally does plug and play. I see people saying, blimey, they're expensive. But if you look at the number of kit car breakdowns, I bet you probably 95% of them are down to electrical issues.
Not to mention the fires.
Well, the fires as well. And he uses, it's a bit like I've got a really old Mercedes, and it's on its last legs now. But they went down on the wiring route. They went down the starch
starch-based insulation. Yeah.
Yeah, and the mice. The mice absolutely love that. The mice love it, and they'll just chew it to bits. And then he doesn't use that, and he uses proper crimps as well. I think he imports them from, I think he was saying Italy. And you go down to Halfords. Yeah, you go down to Halfords and buy some crimps there. They ain't the last 6 months. Never mind about a year. Just not great quality. So yeah, wiring wise, if you're not great, give the professionals a call. And
I've fitted probably 10 or 12 Premier Wiring Loom looms for various things over the years. Always been superb quality. They fit, they work. All the instructions are in the bag. You get everything you need. So, but
they're not the same people now, Chris. It's now.
Isn't the son-in-law of the original guy who did it? Or is it
Anthony Quinn, who's
spent hang on a second. My turn to leave. I'll get the name.
Right, but yeah, he's the guy who used to do it in this country. I can't remember his name either, but
Mango Scotland is what he advertises at. But I think it's Anthony Quinn.
Okay,
Jim will get the name.
Yeah, but I mean, really good company, well worth it. And if you think, you were saying a minute ago about amount of breakdowns, and if you tried wiring from scratch, how long is it going to take you? And how much supplies have you got to buy in the way of reels of different coloured wires, so it makes some kind of sense? I've come across dozens of cars where it's all red wire, and you think, oh, for God's sake, how am I going to do this?
You've got no chance. Got no chance of creating anything. My son's quite up. My son's quite up with wiring. He's got a multimeter, and he just gets me. He said, "Dad, just put this probe on this end. I'll check it this end, and it beeps and does whatever. And you can measure the ohms, you can measure the voltage, and I haven't got a clue. He just tells me, stick that probe on here, and I'll test it for you." And that's about my wiring skills non-existent.
Well, don't we make entertaining video? That was Patrick Quinlan. I don't know why I had a brain fart and I couldn't remember his name. I've been talking to him for how many years now, but I always know him as Mango's Scotland, and he's actually a South African.
Yes,
and he moved to Scotland because he married a Scottish gal, and now he's hanging out mostly in France because he doesn't have a Scottish gal anymore.
I know his actual manufacturing unit is up in Scotland, and I know he did say they struggle to get the people in that know how to wire and do it properly. So it's very, if you want to go and work for Patrick, you've got to know what you're doing. He won't just let anybody in.
But it's like he said, he takes the wiring numericals from the wiring diagram completely color coded, and then he lays them out to length, to exact length, and then that makes them up. So they are bespoke.
I believe a lot of them as well. So if you say it's a Ford Escort or whatever, he will actually match the color of the wires
to
the original wiring diagram.
Can you imagine how just inventory that for, you're in the business of going into the wiring business and for the automotive industry, and you have to keep all that kind of stock. My hat goes off to him.
Yeah,
I hope he's making enough stuff to make it worthwhile.
Exactly. And I know you just said, Chris, that you've done some wiring on cars where all the wires are red, and you've got no chance. You don't know what goes where. But where's Patrick and Mango's got under Premier Wiring, you can match it, as I say, to the original wiring diagram, which is great. You know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know where it's going. You know where it's coming from.
Yeah, great. It's interesting you mentioned that because, I did this show with our first Italian-only show. and the fellow I was interviewing is, in fact, a Ferrari engineer, and he talked about his 2 cars, hill climbing cars that he's built, and that's exactly what he did. As a matter of fact, he sent me a picture, and there it is, the wiring diagram for a Hayabusa laying out there, and he's completely rewired his car completely. Of course, you'd expect that an engineer from Ferrari would know exactly how to do that.
Especially with the bike engine as well, because they're
he's got some very trick stuff there, and we know a bunch about bike engine builds, but he's got some stuff that I was not aware of. For instance, he's got a custom quick shift, quick shifts, they're all quick shift up. He's got one that quick shifts up and down,
and gives you a blipper throttle.
Yeah,
there are several out there. I'm not going to mention any names, but some of them are a bit agricultural. If you don't know what you're doing, they will wreck your gearbox.
Yeah, well, these are all bespoke, and of course he's got a bespoke a differential on it, and it's quite an interesting story, and it's been a bit of work. I'm still halfway through the editing on it because the conversation was being conducted by our good friend Leonardo Nefosi in Bologna, who we did an interview with a few years back on his Hayabusa's powered Mach 1. And he conducted a wonderful interview in Italian, but I can speak a little bit of Italian, like I can find a washroom and order a sandwich and that sort of stuff.
Well, Italian, as long as you can order San Miguel and a pizza, paella.
So I was following along as best I could on that, but now in editing, I've had to convert the conversation using Google Translate into captions so I can read along and then insert the proper B-roll. And it's been kind of time consuming, but it's been very educational because I found out all of the very bespoke companies that Alessandro Galtieri is using to build this car. So if you're watching, stay tuned. That's going to be in the magazine, and it will be for our members only first. It's going to be great.
The other thing about bike engines, we kind of touched on it, is you've got to know what you got about all the sensors.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of the bikes, they have a stand down sensor. So if the stand's down, it will not start. If you haven't got the clutch in, it will not start. Some of them, you can only start it in neutral. And you've got, if you want to disable all those kind of sensors, you've got to know what you're doing. Tilt over or lean sensors as well. So that, if you're on the bike and you lay it down on the ground, i.e. you're crashing, it will cut the ignition and it will cut the fuel.
Yeah,
we've still got ours fitted on ours, but it's mounted front to back, not left to right as it is in the bike.
Mine's fitted, but it's also filled with silicone, so the reed sensors. I'm not planning on tipping the 7 over. And besides, I have a kill switch on right beside my steering wheel, so I'm not worried about that at all.
You've still got like a bike handlebar type thing.
I'm telling Chris that what I did on mine is I've purposefully tried to utilize all of the wiring that from the bike, and then do an add-on for the stuff that the car might need. And what we're talking about is what headlights, taillights, a few other accessories,
fog lights,
that sort of stuff. So primarily, it's running on bike electricals, and it works. It works well. But I do for future reference, I want to add a couple of beefier relays, and that's about it. And clean it up a little bit under the dash. I'll call on you, Chris, for some good advice.
I know when our clutch cable went on ours, and bizarrely, we'd driven like miles and miles and miles. It was when we not long after we'd got it. We'd driven for miles and miles that day. Super excited that we got it. And literally, just as I was pulling to the drive, the clutch cable snapped. Now that could have snapped anywhere, but it literally just snapped just as I was pulling into the drive. So that's not a problem. I've got a repair kit, and it comes from. I've got to pronounce this correctly. It's fecked.com, fecked.com, and it comes with a couple of cables, loads of different fixings, which are great for bikes as well. I said, let's just fit, let's get this out. We used the same outer cable, put the new cable in, but where we were trying to fit it at the clutch end, there was like a black sensor type of thing. And
I know.
I couldn't get my hands in, so it was quite tight. So Felix was doing it, and he moved his sensor. Anyway, we went to start it, and it just would not work. The only way I could get it to start was give it loads and loads of revs, and then as soon as you took the revs on, it cut. And what he'd done, he'd moved the tilt sensor from being, vertical, and just moved it slightly on the side rail, which was zip tied to, and.
You got to go get some silicone, load that baby up. Then you'll never have this problem. What do you want that for?
Exactly.
You're driving a 7. The chances of you landing on your head on it is
pretty remote. It wasn't until the following day, and with the head scratch, I said, "Look, let's knock it on there." It was getting late. I said, ordered a pizza and whatever, and a couple of beers and whatever. Got up the following morning. I said, Felix, where have we, when anything goes wrong with a car and you've been working on it, I said to Felix, what have we been doing and where have we been working on it? He said, well, we're doing the clutch cable. I said, okay, let's go and have a look. And that is when we spotted this little sensor. I didn't know anything about a tilt lean sensor at that time, or whether one was still fitted. And that is when we spotted it. And it was quite obvious. It was quite small. It's only about this long. Yeah. But on the very top of this little black plastic box, it said top. And obviously, it wasn't facing top; it was facing to the bottom. So or the side, So so what I was saying, if you get a random problem with your car, but you have been working on it, just think about where have you been working on it, and why has that gone wrong?
Yeah, the kickstand sensor is pretty easy to fix in
that's just short that out. Yeah.
So. All kinds of stuff. We can stop talking about bike engine cars.
Well, it's interesting because I was at. It's quite a sad day actually, but we went to a funeral of a guy who'd got it was a Blade engine in his Westfield, and it was his funeral. It was Nick's funeral, and
I remember Nick.
We decided we'd get his car back on the road. I mean, I didn't do it. It was the other Nick that got it back on the road. We got out to the funeral. We're outside the crematorium, and Nick was revving it, just after the ceremony, just to give him a bit of a send off. And one of the ushers came over because there's another funeral procession going in, and he said, "Can you knock it on the head because we've got these other people coming in?" And we did laugh and joke about it afterwards because he was revving it quite hard, but he'd actually got it in neutral, and I didn't know. For instance, a CBR, I think it was a CBR Blade engine. When it's in neutral, it will only rev to a certain amount of revs. And Nick suddenly realised it. He turned around and he said, well, if I'd have known at the funeral, he said, I would have put it in first gear and revved it even more, up to the 11, 12,000. But I don't, when you're messing with bike engines and stuff like that and sensors, it's a steep learning curve, but you just soon get there by asking questions on groups.
Well, that's cool. Can I talk about some programming now?
Yes. What have we got coming up? And Chris,
we talked about my little show, and I'm recording this, by the way, John. The reason I wanted to talk about a few things is thank you for the update on what's happening with Avon Rescue, and you've got some photos that you sent along, Chris. Is that going to be pictures of the grill? Was that you're working on?
Well, I sent them across to John earlier. I don't know if they've come through. I can't really show them from my end because I've got no way of uploading them. I don't know if you've got access to them, John. Can you ping them up or
not? He can. Well, rather than bring them up now, I'm going to bring them up in editing for whatever we're going to do. And basically, I know that, guys, I do know that there's pictures of the grill just simply because you sent it to me earlier, and I could see a picture of something that looked like your new set of teeth.
Yes, and on the front grill, I don't want to give it away too much, but you built the actual front grill. We've got the MK one, aluminium thing. You built like yourself. I think it's welding rods you were telling me, or
they're brazing.
Is that what it is? Yeah. Oh, brazing rod. That's different. Yeah.
Because they're brazing rods, I can solder them then rather than trying to TIG weld them.
Yeah. And how did you press them in?
They weren't really pressed. What they were is I made a little carbide burr and made a little divot in all the upright ones where the cross rods were going to go, so that when I assemble it, it's still, and then just use a little tiny little brazing welding torch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just braze them.
Braze them together. Yeah.
I'm just looking at the picture. It's a very nice looking 7. It's a nice looking. It's sort of like what do you call it? A hot dog grill style.
Yeah.
With I don't know, barbecue grill style. Yeah. Because I've seen some like that where they've literally pressed. It's a lot of work, but some people got more time than brains, and they pressed one into the other, and it looks outstanding. But boy, a lot of work. This looks great.
Yeah. Well, I wanted something that was nice and simple, relatively cheap, and it looked quite traditional. And I did quite a lot of Google research trying to find out who's done what. And I like the fact that the vertical and the horizontal spacing is different, because otherwise it could look like a lump of weld mesh.
Yeah.
Because what the sideways space is much wider than the up and down spacing.
And you've cut out your own number 7 on the front as well. We'll come to that in the video when that's come out. But that looks smart as well, because again, that's different.
Yeah, I did something similar with mine. Only I didn't braze it on. I actually found a metal basket that was the exact same size, and I just cut out the grill and then painted it. But it has the same sort of presentation. It's really cool. I like it.
Yeah. The last thing with the grill was trying to decide on colours for the mesh and for the number 7. They could both be black, they could both be silver, one could be black, one could be yellow. There's a million and one presentations. And so I've just left it as is at the moment. I keep looking at it every time I go in the workshop, and then hopefully at some point the button will drop and it'll be okay, I'm going to do that one. So
Yeah.
You want to kind of like make it look like the number 7 is floating. But if you paint all the mesh black and have that silver, it might look a bit obvious. I don't know. It's down to you, Chris. You know what I mean? It's
well, everybody has the right to have their own artistic impression, and after all, it is his. So whatever you come up with, I'll stand by it. I think it looks amazing the way it is. On mine, I did something similar. Like that looks to be a piece of flat aluminium, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's correct.
For the 7.
And I did something similar. I had a piece of flat aluminium, and I actually went and got a house number from like Home Depot, and I put that on top of it with the flat aluminium behind, so with the same shape, if you will, but standing a little bit proud, so it has a little bit of relief to it.
It's quite a specific font as well, that number 7. It's got some little tiny details on the side of it, and if you don't use the original Lotus inspired font, because I tried it, that's just how I know, it just looks odd. So you had to come back to the slightly curved top edge, the little tiny hang off the side of the crossbar. There's little details in it. If you can get the little details right, then it just looks right.
It looks right. Yeah, and it'll look right no matter what colour you decide to do it in.
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Brilliant. Well, now we're working on something with Jake, and we can't even reveal very much. But I know Chris is going to be doing an interview with someone enigmatic. soon, and
I know.
you're not saying who.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know what you're saying, James.
But looking forward to that, and I know that I mean, we'll just might drop it out here that Martin Williamson has said to contact him after Christmas. So it would be, if it's all right, Chris, I'm going to ask if I can put this thing together and John can operate the studio. Would you mind doing an interview with him?
Yeah, very happy to do that. I've known Martin now for about 25, 30 years, because he used to work with me when I was over at Sebring building the Healy 3000 replicas. He was a salesman there and I was building the cars. So I've known
they were cracking cars, those as well, the Sebring, great quality.
I think that that would make a great plastic shell for somebody to add to, to a low cost. I think that would be just gorgeous.
But there was a guy doing it, wasn't it? For quite a while, I was making a Healy 3000 or a Healy 100 replica body that was designed to fit on a 7 chassis.
Yeah, I think the MK was trying it there for a short period of time too.
But that project's just come up for sale, and he's struggling to sell it. And the body mold, the mold's available if anybody wants to go. I don't think he sold more than 4 or 5, maybe a dozen. It's very, very low numbers.
I think that John, you've got an interview waiting there. Just John and Chris have to give him a call and see if he wouldn't mind doing a little presentation for us for a weekend Vlad. I think that would be terrific, because we've been following up on plastic, all these plastic shows, and I'm overwhelmed by how many people around the world are interested in doing these conversions, either with a low cost shell or on the Triumph frame or anything, or as Rob is doing at Quantum, he's doing it on MX5. So there's all kinds of.
I've got a lovely rabbit hole here for you here, then, Jim. At the kit car show about 10 years ago, there was a guy made a 33 Ford hot rod on an MX5 based low cost chassis.
No kidding.
It looked like a 33 Ford, nicely chopped, open wheeled, but obviously it's now going to drive like a sports car with an MX5 engine in the front of it. And I thought that was going to go a lot.
I bet it would drive even better with the Rover engine on top of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Factory 5 over in the States have now done almost exactly the same thing, but obviously based on American running gear with a V8 in the front of it. Whereas
what's the name of that company?
Factory 5.
Factory 5. Yeah.
They're renowned for their Cobras, weren't they?
Yeah.
And I've just joined the Formosa build group, and it's really taken off. That many people building Formosas now, and I know Gary's got some different bodywork coming out as well. He's got a lot planned. A lot of it will fit on a 7.
He's a shy guy, and he loves his family, and he just does his thing. But he's promised to do something with us, and it's been years. But I would love to just do something again.
Whereabouts in the country he's on the south coast, I think, isn't he, Gary?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, down on the south, Portsmouth way. I know. He said he was looking to go to Kit Fest and some of the kit car shows, but he's miles from anywhere, miles from any of the major kit car shows. But he is looking at it.
Okay, well, there's one for you then, Jim, to go in for the programming. I'm intending to try and do a South Coast tour in the NG next year, if I can, or maybe late this year. There's also a guy down there called Chris who makes the Tribute, the Ferrari 250 replicas, and the Cobra with a K. And I've got a few friends that I know down that way as well. I've not been down there for a long time. So I'm thinking, that'd be a really nice road trip. So I could try and fit Gary Janes in with that. That would be a nice thing to do.
That would be fabulous. And I know that it would be good, so good for him, because he works so hard. You know yourself, when you're in the manufacturing business, but you're spending all your time just doing customizations, your feet are in clay kind of thing. You're not moving forward with your development. And
you've not got time for promos or advertising.
And that's where he is.
Yeah.
I'd love to help. I promised to help him and whatever I can. John and I did one video for him, and I thought it turned out really well. It's really well received.
The change for him has been meteoric since he was making the Samio Spider all those years ago. And I've had my hands on a few of those, and the quality was. He was for the price. He was selling them at a price, so therefore he couldn't do any more. But then when he started Formosa and he got the new body molds made, I think that was a huge turning point for him, because then all of a sudden people could look symmetrical body, reasonable shut lines, no wavy sides, and they thought, well, I can make something of this, not just a cheap little runaround. I can actually make a nice car out of it.
Yeah.
And a guy called Dan Lowry has made a burgundy coloured one with an Alpha V6 in it, with cream sign writing on the side. And it is glorious, absolutely glorious motor car. And you can see the potential's there now.
Well, it's got the potential, but I mean, maybe I am old-fashioned, or maybe I'm too new-fashioned. But all of his stuff is designed to go on a Triumph sort of platform, you know. And he of course, his body shells are narrower for that reason, and so anything that's MX5 just doesn't work.
That's too wide. MX5 is too wide.
Yeah.
But that's where the replica car came into its own, though, isn't it? Because the replica car is designed to fit on MX5.
Yeah.
And it's been,
Rob Hancock. Yeah.
And now I think Westfields have got it now, haven't they? Haven't they taken on the replica?
I didn't think that was the case, because the last contact I had with Rob was within the last 6 months, and he did a show with us, you know, going on and on about how wonderful it is. And as far as I can see on his website, it's still active. I know that Replicar, you're talking about Replicar is now with Quantum. It's not with
not Westfield.
Yeah,
my apologies.
there you go.
Quantum. Yeah.
I apologize, guys. I've got the excuse that I'm 8 hours removed and on another continent.
All planets.
Yeah, there you go. But anyway, I'm looking forward to those pieces, a couple of pieces of programming. And as you know, we do have the magazine coming out now. Deadline, guys. If you are working on a story, and I know that John, you're trying to reach the good kids over at Mini Kits, because you know, it's show season for them is starting at the end of the month. And I told Paul at Mini Kits I want to do some sort of a promo for them, because they've got a small show coming up now, and then they get more coming in the future. I want to be able to introduce what they're doing and where they're doing it, and include some photos, hopefully an interview with one or two of the participants as well. I think that would be good. So I'm going to leave that with you to pester them.
Yeah, well, I love speaking to Craig and so on at Mini Kits, because their stands, because they've attended most of the major ones now, like the NEC, the Classic, and the Restoration Show. They're winning some major awards. You know, with best stand at the NEC, this kind of thing. So I think it is because they turn up with something completely different. No one's ever seen it before.
That's right. I mean,
it's a great stand.
That's the real reason why I want to have them. Of course, it's great to help to do the promo, but they always come up with something unique. And Chris, what was the item that you had in our last show? You had included one particular car. What the heck was that? It was mini based, and it was from the 70s. Oh yeah, there it is.
Oh, the Biota.
Biota.
Yeah.
That was that arrived with me under very unusual circumstances. But I actually got it running, got it moving under its own steam. But then that was the customer was on a different agenda / planet to the rest of us. So
You mean you ended up inheriting a Biota and he didn't pay his bill?
Just about on the money there, Jim.
or just about not on the money.
Yeah. That's the bane of our existence, isn't it? In the automotive.
Nearly 2 years. And I kept saying to him, come on, you've got to do something. You've got to pay your bill and do something with it. And he didn't. And in the end, I said, right, I wrote him an official letter. It's going to have to go. And and it went. So
and you moved it on. You didn't keep it, obviously, because of the agricultural nature of its rear suspension.
But I checked the DVLA website, and it's actually taxed and insured. So somebody somewhere has restored it and is using it. It's still out there. Yeah.
Well, it's probably going to shows with Mini Kits. That's the reason why.
I
wouldn't be surprised if that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah, Paul Miniburger and Craig, if you're watching, have you got any biotas in your minikit?
He said they've got 3.
I think he said there's some, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if one's a blue one.
Anyways, that's what we're looking for. So I don't know. I've got some other leads for you guys if you want to follow up on it, but I'm without saying too much more about it, as I said about our magazine and the YouTube stuff we do, everything that we do is not about Jim or 7-Spot. It's all coming from, and all the leads go to the individual show hosts on their channels. For instance, Chris has his channel that he's getting up. What is it called again, Chris?
Four Wheels of Change. Number 4 and Wheels of Change. Yeah.
So everyone tune in.
Become a subscriber. Very early days at the moment, and I'm just dipping my first toe in the pond, as it were. So
and we're doing what we can to help. Just in terms of the editing and letting me post them for you, and happy to do that. But it's the content that we will be bringing to our 7-Spot channel and to the magazine. All the leads and all of the subscriptions will, of course, go back to you, because that's the intention of what the stuff we do.
It's the same with the other. I mean, there's some great channels out there. There's some not so great ones, but I mean, there's a couple spring to mind. There's Tea and Biscuits with Wayne.
Yeah.
So we're happy to have, we're happy to support him, and he's happy to, send us videos we can put on the website as well. And as you say, Jim, any likes or subscribes or whatever, they go back to his channel. It's not about us.
Yeah, and that's the intention of it. Again, with the beauty of having the platform of our magazine now, it doesn't have to all come from my channel or our channel. It'll all come from they are show hosts. Happy to do it for people who affiliate themselves with us, so they'll get the leads and the subscriptions, and that's the right thing to do.
Yeah. So if anyone's got an interesting article or YouTube video or whatever, give us a shout, and we will. I wouldn't say promote it. We will put it on the channel.
And along that line, along that line, I had a nice chat with Jose Windle in Portugal, just the day before yesterday, and he's looking to, he's been making some very, very good first-person videos for his channel, and he's always kind of shy about being the standing up doing an interview type of person, just like we're doing right now. But I've convinced him. I said, just treat it like a cars and coffee. You're just going to ask some people some softball questions about their cars, and as we've always said, but the cars will do the talking.
This is Jim and I. We found this very, very early on. You started this because of COVID, and we couldn't go to shows. Shows were cancelled, and you thought, how can we see people's cars? So there you were with your studio as it was then, just calling up people, get your phone out, show us your car
in Japan.
Yeah, in Japan.
And not speaking a word of Japanese.
And it was literally get your phone out. And we always used to say at that time, don't worry about anything. Just point your camera at the car, tell us about your car, and that will sell it.
And I always ask the why question, right? That's the best question for me anyway, because if you can ask the what, where, the tangible, questions, but the intangible types of question of why, that brings out the real story. And for me, it's the stories that are the most compelling, because we can talk about nuts and bolts and wiring and all that stuff till the cows come home. But, finding out a why of somebody, for instance, we did an interview in Norway of a guy who's got a tank engine.
That was the was that Oyvind?
Oystein. Yeah.
Oystein. Yes.
Yeah.
And we asked him.
And we have to do a follow up with him, because
we absolutely do. Because it's never going to go around corners. Let's put it that way. But I think he built it. He said it was for hill climbs, but it was fascinating when he got behind it. It was like a massive V12. and we were asking about the MPG, and apparently he was getting something like 35 miles to the gallon.
It wasn't quite that good, but
it was bad by modern day standards. But it was telling us about because it only revs to what, 3,500 revs, I think it was.
Yeah.
So when you
turbo diesel.
No, it's a Rolls-Royce Meteor.
It's a Rolls-Royce. Rolls-Royce, Rolls-Royce Meteor. Rolls-Royce Meteor.
3.5 miles to the gallon rather than 35 might be.
You'd be surprised.
He just runs it at 1,000 revs. And,
so it's an oil most of the
time.
And
the thing just chugs along. You know.
Yeah. I know he took it on a run, and it probably wasn't 30, but it was in the 10s, and it was a Rolls-Royce Meteor
like
engine.
19 miles per gallon. And I can believe it as long as he didn't come up to a hill or something like that, or in town where he has to shift. You know that.
Yeah, the Meteor engine originated from the aeroplane, so it was all aluminium, so it was dead light as well.
Brilliant engine. No, really, really good.
Yeah,
very efficient engine as well.
And then it was
it's about 12 litre, I think, is it?
Yeah, I mean, and that's without oil.
It's a big thing.
Exactly.
Could you imagine how much oil that baby?
And he was we started asking about, well, where'd you get your spare parts from? Because you just can't go down to Halfords or whatever, and I need this, and that. And he was saying that he'd managed to develop a complete network of people that had got actually, spare parts for stuff and things like that. And then we started asking, well, what I asked him, Daft, what ECU are you using to run this thing? And he was showing us, and he ended up contacting a guy in the UK, and the UK ended up dialing into his issue, sending him updates and stuff as to how to run his tank engine, because the bloke had got a similar one. So it's absolutely, if anyone's interested in tank engines and it was a seven.
Surprised. They're a community unto themselves, and absolutely there are a number of Facebook groups and there are a number of YouTube channels that are all about sourcing bones to keep these ancient tanks going. So there you go.
His cylinder head was cracked as well, wasn't it? I think, and it wasn't firing on one of the cylinders. So
it had overheated and it needed to be shaved down and skimmed. And it had a broken valve. But still, it wasn't firing on all 12, but it was firing on 11 apparently.
So this is the overriding power of the internet. That it allows small groups of real niche, eccentric enthusiasts to find each other.
Yeah,
anywhere on the planet.
Anywhere there's a rabbit hole, we all dive in. Like last night, I happened to find this guy who's an expat of Russia and who's now doing rusted Triumph TR6s and TR250s, and he's in Canada. So I friended him, and who knows, I might come and do a visit with him. I think that'd be fun.
The other thing about this live streaming as well, because we found that other guy. I can't remember the guy's name now, but again, I think, was he in Norway or Sweden? And he took us for a walk around of his premises, and started off with, he got an old, I don't know, 1930s truck outside. Took us walking down. He said, "Oh, this is my vegetable patch," and he'd got an aeroplane in there.
That was Oyson.
Was that Oyton again? And then he went into his shed and he bought this car, which he bought it as a bit of a wreck, and when he drove it back, it was all over the place. Yeah. And then he started talking. He's building another plane. He hasn't got a pilot license, although he does fly it apparently. I don't know how true that is. But then he was showing us all his motorbikes that he's got, and apparently his wife did not know half of the stuff that he'd got there, because it was set. He's got a massive estate set well back from the house, and apparently his missus doesn't know about half the stuff that he's got in there.
I think that's a Scandinavian thing.
Yeah. It
just don't tell the wife, and they'll never figure it out. Just let it snow all winter, and you're safe.
Yeah, it'd be fine. And he got a great accent as well. He said, "Well, I don't let my wife into the vegetable patch because I've got an aeroplane in there."
Well, along that line, seeing as we're talking about programming, I know that we've got a couple of ones. John, I'm going to lean on you to make a couple of approaches. You had spoken to that fellow in Latvia who's got the round tube low cost.
Yes,
and he did promise to do something with us, and he's got his I mean, he's also, aside from the round tube low cost, he's also got his rally cars, and I think that'd be an interesting show to see what the rally business is like in Latvia. Plus, that round tube low cost, 100% round tube, has got to be pretty interesting to see.
Absolutely, yeah. I've got a couple of other things working in the background. Obviously, the Elmsford Grange thing, which I'm hoping to get an interview with Peter shortly. Where they're building the MEV.
Well, that's another thing. I mean, we're talking about promos for stuff. We wanted to do an ongoing promo and leading up to April for Kit Fest, and one of the things that you are working on is just what you just finished saying, is the MEV charity build for schools. Is it not?
It is, yeah, and we have offered them a sponsored stand, so that they will be there. It's not often we give people sponsored stands, but we think it's such a worthy cause, because obviously we've been doing that series on Ron Champion, who is, by the way, all over. People must have noticed, for other reasons as well. Ron Champion and the articles that we've been doing, and plus also in Complete Kit Car magazine, which is now Car Builders. I believe there's another article coming out in Kit Car magazine, Total Kit Car magazine, that will be coming out. I think they're doing a YouTube preview on the 9th, did they say? But Ron Champion was all about bringing engineering back into schools, which I did O-level engineering at school, absolutely loved it. And yet you go to all these schools now, that is not an option on the curriculum. You can't do it. So Ron, he spent all his life dedicated, I wouldn't say all his life, but dedicated most of his life to getting engineering back into schools. And Peter Coburn is the same, because he's got engineering back into Elmsford Grange. A lot of people would look at that and think, well, it's just another fly-by-night blade, but he's not. He's actually building another low cost, which has been Mazda base. Prior to that, he built, I think he said, a Silver Striker. Not only that, he built an aeroplane. With the students at college, and that's got the registration. I looked at it, I spotted it showing the actual aeroplane is still flying. It's in Gloucester, I believe, but it's got every plane in the UK has to have a registration number, and it's got the initials of Elmsford Grange Academy. The amount of stories that he came out with, and that him and the students, they also built a car driving simulator, with all the screens and pedals and stuff like that. So he really is introducing back into schools, teaching people about how to build things. It's so lacking in so many of the schools now. I wonder why people don't want to buy kits and build them. They don't know how.
Well, that's cool. I'm looking forward to actually getting some of the details on that, so that we can throw that into the magazine as we move forward.
Another one for you, Jim, as well. You mentioned to me a guy with a Ronart that had contacted you, one with all the copper fittings on the engine.
Yes.
Yeah, that's Peter. Peter?
Yeah.
I don't remember Peter for some reason.
It turns out he's a guy who lives about a quarter of a mile from me. I do quite a lot of work on his Jaguar XK120s and 140s. It's his wife's brother-in-law.
Okay.
Oh, really?
And they went to lunch between Christmas and New Year, and he turned up in that.
Yeah,
that's the one.
He's a member. He's a 7-spot member too. So I know I've been in touch with him, and he said yes, he'd be happy to do something with us. And I think that it'd be just as an initiation. I think that next time we're doing a weekend blat, and that's about a specific car that he might have some interest in, perhaps an XK or something like that. Ask him to pop in
drop in.
Well, what we're planning to do is Arthur, who's got the XKs, who's a guy who lives very local to me. He's got a silver XK120 road stroke race car, and I'm going to take my NG, and we're going to go over and drive to the guy with the Ronart. We're going to sit down and have a cup of coffee with him. So we'll be able
you guys are going to have so much fun. I wish I was there.
The guy with the Ronart car, he's a refrigeration engineer. I know that, which is why when you look at the engine bay, there's a lot of copper pipes and stuff in like that, because he used whatever he was used to, and it works absolutely perfect. But when it's a V12, I think it was. But when you look at the craftsman work on what he's done, it looks absolutely spot on. Is he the one with the underground garage as well, where it rises up the ground?
Yeah.
It's something completely different.
Yeah.
He lives in a very agricultural setting. I mean, you look at it and you say, is that a warehouse or is that a farmhouse? Or
it's got
is
like an underground garage that he's got. Stunning car. It's been in Complete Kit Car magazine as it was then. So if you want to have a look at that, you'd have to go order the back issue. It's absolutely stunning car.
Perfect location to meet both of them as well, or to meet all three of us up together, is on the Norfolk coast. There's a place called Brancaster, and there's a pub restaurant there called the White Horse, and you can sit in the conservatory at the back and look out over the sea, and the car park is just underneath the window. So if we get all three cars there, we can set the camera and the mics up, hopefully, to do a three-way interview, and be able to put the cars and the seaside in the background. So if that comes on, that'll really work nicely. So
looking forward to that. Yeah.
Oh, so much planning, guys. This is great. I'm looking forward to it. And now there's another person that, John, that you were setting up, and it wasn't the fellow in Latvia, but there was another low cost. Oh no, it's that fellow, Bert. This is my interview. Bert, the guy from Malta, who's built Yeah. So I'll get after that. I'm making a note, Bert.
Bert. It just, I don't know. It just shows you how far around the world we can get with these live streams. We don't mind who wants to join in and take part. If you've got an interesting story.
Well, there's two other nice bits about Malta that are very interesting. They've got a huge drag racing scene, which for a tiny little island in the middle of the Mediterranean is the most unlikely thing you could imagine.
I didn't know that.
Classic Ford and drag racing in Malta is a big deal, and also all their vintage coaches. They've got thousands of old Bedfords and Austins and from the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, and they just keep going. So fascinating place. I've been over there quite a few times, and not only is it a beautiful place, there's an awful lot for a.
Perhaps I get you to help with the interview with Bert, because I mean he's a young guy. He's apparently in his 30s or something like that. But I mean, there's all of that history there, and I mean, it's not a big place.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
No.
And there's two other little tiny islands. There's Gozo, which is the island just above Malta, and there's a little tiny one in the middle called Camino. And on the Isle of Camino is a guy who's restored a 1912 Packard and won Pebble Beach with it.
Wow, that was stunning. The Packards are stunning cars.
Extraordinary little tiny island, which is a dot in the middle of the ocean next to Malta, which is not big on its own. And this guy's retired there, and he's turning out this quality of work. It's
and to win Pebble Beach, you've got to know what you're doing. I think Pebble Beach.
Just even to get invited is.
I was going to say Pebble Beach. You have to be invited. It's not like you rock up and pay your £5. Pay a £5 entry fee and there's my car. Do you know what I mean? You've got to be invited to that. Yeah, brilliant stuff.
Well, this is supposed to be a planning session. We've been talking for an hour.
Yeah, we've done some planning. Yeah, that's
But I'm going to actually, this is interesting. There's all kinds of rabbit holes to dive down, and I'm going to have to do some editing and throw in some B-roll here, and we've actually got a show. I'm going to leave. But along that, I mean, we're planning to do it's called the Nooner, and because a Nooner for me is 3:00 in the morning. That doesn't work. Just does not work. But I'm thinking we could just as we're doing these recordings now, we can take a bunch of these and then throw in the B-roll and throw them up as restreams as a Nooner. I think it'd be good stuff.
I think it'd definitely work. Live stream ish with some editing, but in a Nooner. So it's not an official documentary or official blah blah.
Just whatever rubbish. I mean, it's a Nooner, so it's whatever rubbish hits the table.
Exactly. People can take it or leave it. I mean, Nooner.
Is it peanut butter or is it tuna?
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I think for me the timing's great because in the UK, the Nooner is 12:00, and that's when most people are on the lunch break.
Yeah.
So even if you work, you could just drop in and drop out.
Most people are going to be at work, and if we can do it by way of pre-programming and just let StreamYard stream it scheduled at that time frame, I think it'd get gobbled up. I'm surprised. Being that we're starting up the magazine and with our TV guide that we're creating, we have been doing this restream thing, and I'm shocked. I mean, what was the name of the video? Oh, you did the National Kit Car Show. You did an interview.
I was just about to bring up the XCS Designs.
XCC, and it was a live stream that we did from there. Now, live streams don't typically get a huge number of views because you're kind of singing to your own audience, right?
It was with Harvey Rice at the Malvern Kit Car Show, and it got huge on the restream. Got huge views.
Yeah, we're almost. I think we're over 1,000 now.
Over 1,000 now,
and that's 3 days on.
And I did look at the original that we put out, and it was a live stream. And okay, I think sometimes it's the days we put it out and blah 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 and time of year. I think the original got about 161 views or 261 views
because they're live stream, and because it's a live stream, it gets focused on your own particular. We put it up on Facebook and we put it up on YouTube, so those are our channel members will see it, and as will our Facebook group. But other than that, it's not really being disseminated. But now it's being restreamed as a YouTube video, which is what it is. It gets sent out to a broader audience. So I'm very happy to do that.
I know, Jim. You dropped me a note in the morning, and I woke up and I thought, obviously, go on to Facebook, and you just posted me the number of views, and we were like, wow, how has that happened?
Yeah, you said bloody hell.
Well, I did. I said, I did because it's just like, I don't know. Maybe people just missed it the first time round, as you say, Jim, because it was live. But
no, it's because when it's live, the way the YouTube stream works, it gets streamed to those people who are part of your channel, and we have about 4,000 members of the channel. Sounds great, but it's not like 4 billion people that it potentially could reach. It primarily goes to your particular group when you're doing a stream. You're singing to your choir. But
exactly.
But when you play it back as a restream, because it actually is a recorded YouTube video, and then play it as a stream, it actually gets sent out to a broader audience. So it's something I did not know about. And
the thing that amazed me as well, we didn't actually advertise it. It was on obviously the 7-spot programming guide. I hadn't posted it anywhere.
No, but it's a learning lesson there for me too. Is that we've been in a panic to get the magazine, shall we call it? I don't know what to call it. What should we call it, Chris? It's not a magazine because it's not in print.
Fanzine.
I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, it helps us use the tools that are in there to reach a broader audience, and that's for me what it's about.
Yeah.
So, not revealing any secrets to our competitors, whoever they are, if there are any.
Well, you say that, Jim. I don't think there are competitors.
Yeah.
No, there are no.
I don't think there's anybody who wants to become a competitor. To be
well, exactly. Yeah, because what we're doing is completely different and sometimes off the wall.
It's always off the wall, but that's the beauty. Yeah. I'm not interested in fitting into a pigeonhole. I'm really not.
I'm not interested.
I was telling Christian earlier, we don't sell magazines.
No, I'm also not interested in my channel. I'm not bothered about likes and subscribes. I would never ask for them. If you like the content, great, watch it. If you don't, I'm really not that bothered.
Yeah. Well, that explains your vast following.
Well, exactly. That's why no one watches my channel.
Is it time to go, guys?
What is it? 9:30. Yeah, we're getting close.
Yeah. Let's do that. I'm going to hit the end, but I do like this. Just being able to shoot the air.
Shoot the breeze.
The breeze. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Shooting the breeze, and we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.